Jim Lee won't say it, but Dan Didio's 5G initiative is very much alive. Cue the intro. If you guys haven't already, please hit that like, please hit that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications so you're always in the loop whenever I drop new videos. DC's 5G initiative was something that caused a lot of speculation and buzz around the comic book community. Dan Didio, the then editor-in-chief, teased 5G back at New York Comic Con, and since then the rumors began circulating about what 5G would entail. The main ones were a reboot of the DC universe, where the older heroes would be replaced by the younger counterparts, and would finally straighten out the jumbled DC Comics continuity. The end of 2019 into early 2020 saw the rumored 5G reboot become more of a reality. We saw the aged up John Kent take on more of a leadership role, especially in the Legion of Superheroes. James Tynion's newsletter hinted that Luke Fox would be taken over as Batman, alongside the then rumors of screenwriter John Ridley taking over Batman once Tynion's run ended at issue 100. The two most blatant developments was in December 2019 in Doomsday Clock 12, where Dr. Manhattan mentions 5G as an upcoming timeline in DC Comics continuity. And in February 2020, Tom King stated that on the World Balloon podcast that Alfred's death back in his Batman run is what sets off the events that leads to 5G. With all of these examples, it was clear as day that 5G was coming for sure. In February, before Didio's time at DC came to an end, we got one last indication that 5G was coming, with the announcement of Generation Age of Mysteries. These were 5 one-shots that highlighted DC's past while setting up what's to come. With Didio leaving DC Comics abruptly soon after, more speculation arose as to what led to the split. Bleeding Cool and several other websites hinted that Didio's 5G plans had something to do with him leaving. Now, none of this is actually confirmed, but the reasons range from quote-unquote fostering a poor work environment by making sure that writers and editors got their projects lined up with the eventual 5G reboot. There were even reports that Scott Snyder might have had a role in this termination, due to Snyder feeling very strongly against his death metal series tying into 5G, and him being worried that the entire 5G initiative would hurt comic book retailers. With Didio and his alleged hostile takeover gone, one would think that 5G would never see the light of day. But the recent developments at DC says otherwise. In May, Snyder's death metal, which originally didn't line up with the upcoming changes, was now becoming a bigger story, where in the end, wait for it, it would clean up DC's continuity and usher in a new era for the brand. Kinda funny how that changed after Didio left, since originally he did want Snyder's event to lead the charge to 5G. In August, after the massive DC Comics layoff, Jim Lee stated in an interview that John Ridley was indeed going to write a Batman miniseries, which would have, quote-unquote, a huge impact on the rest of the line. Ridley and his mini was officially announced at DC Fandome a week later, and said that if he's writing Batman, there's a 47% chance that it's going to be a person of color. All signs point to Luke Fox, which not only lines up with James Tynion's newsletter, but also the 5G initiative. To further prove this, in the recent issues of Batgirl and Catwoman, Luke Fox returns to Gotham to help his father, who's been forced to work with the Joker. And the Fox family will be getting some serious shine in the Joker War Warzone one-shot as well, which will lead to John Ridley's Batman mini. This past week on September 11th, DC released its December solicits, where we saw the return of DC Generations, which disappeared from solicits after Didio's exit and COVID shutting down the world. In January, Generation Shattered 1 is going to be released. It's going to spin out of death metal to tell a generation-spanning history of the DC Universe. Again, sounds very familiar to the original plan for the original Generations line. Jim Lee has stated twice now that a 5G event nor a reboot will happen, and DC will begin focusing more on individual titles and building up those characters. But it's also safe to say that with these examples, 5G is pretty much happening. It's just not being acknowledged as such. But does Jim Lee saying that really matter? Not really. And that could just be to distance himself and the brand from Didio, which is totally fair. But as I explained before, we have the Doomsday Clock confirmation, what's about to happen in Batman, the re-emergence of the Generation titles, death metal going through a massive change, and yet another unannounced Snyder project that will pave the way for the new DC Comics status quo, all post Didio. And as time goes on, we may even see more elements from Didio's original plan come to light. So it's safe to say that even though he's no longer at DC Comics, his vision is actually coming true. 5G is indeed coming. It may not have the title, and it may not be a reboot, but the writing is on the wall. So 2021 is going to be an interesting time for DC. And long live Didio. So let me know down below in the comments, is the 5G initiative dead and I'm just talking out my ass, or does the evidence speak for itself and 5G does exist, but it's not being named as such? Thank you guys once again for checking out my content. Don't forget to hit that like, don't forget to hit that subscribe and turn on your notifications. And please do not forget that I stream every single Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Much love, much peace, Roliver Queen out.